So over time, we've offered many suggestions about reach for the thought that feels better and so forth, because that's a calibration. We've encouraged you to do focus wheels. That's a calibration. We've encouraged you, when you feel good, to get on a rampage of appreciation so that you really calibrate to what feels good. Everything that we've ever offered to you has been about you calibrating to who you really are. And of course, before you can calibrate to that note, to that vibration, you've got to first know that it exists. Do you? Do you know that you came forth from source and that that source part of you is still there, offering a signal to which you can calibrate? Because if you can accept that, then everything else is easy for you. But if you haven't accepted that, then you are most likely, like most humans, calibrating to the loudest vibration in the room. And sometimes you get confused, because if you haven't beforehand taken the time to calibrate to your highest frequency, then the loudest note in the room will call you to it. And that's all right, because as you get called to it, you have a feeling sensation. And this is what we really want you to know. You may accept it just because we say it. You may accept it because you knew it before we said it. You may accept it because nothing else makes sense to you. You may accept this. We want you to come to accept this. You are source energy, and a part of you is here in this physical body. And the strongest calibration, the strongest signal that you are, is one of pure love. One of knowing well-being, one of loving self, and one of loving others. Let's start again. Do you believe that you are a vibrational being? This is the way we would do the work. We would continue to start with the premises that we are certain about, and we would continue to move forward and ask the question in a way that we can finally say yes, 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 without any contradiction within us. In other words, we know that you don't think that you are quite ready to give this vibrational approach your undivided attention. And we understand that, because in truth, it would be better if you would get a job to soothe your financial concerns. You would be less contradictory in your vibration if you were not worried about money.
Okay.
So if you could build a bridge that says, this is a temporary thing that I'm doing in order to hold myself in a place that I can keep my promises to my creditors, and that I can satisfy myself with the things that I want, and that more and more a satisfying way for money to flow will come to me. Because if you stand in a place where you say, I want more money, but I'm unwilling to do the action things that I know that bring money, now it isn't the action or the non-action, it's the contradiction in the energy. I want this, but I'm not willing. But when you say, I want this, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to come into alignment to get what I want, there's a helpfulness in that willingness. But then you say, but I'm contradicting myself, because Abraham, you're teaching me that I can do this through the power of thought. And we tried to clear that up with you in the first moment that you said that. We're not teaching you that action is not part of it. We're teaching you that action isn't the most important part of it, that the alignment is, and that it's possible for you to come into alignment so that the action that is then required of you by the filling of the vortex into the grid is action that you will be really thrilled in the offering of. There isn't one of you who doesn't want to act. You do. You want to act. And there isn't one of you who wouldn't revel in inspired action over required action. They are very different actions. But if you don't take the time to do the grid work, the inspired action doesn't come. And when it's required action, you get burned out really, really fast.
Yes.
But when it's inspired action, then you can't stay up long enough, and you can't get up early enough, and you can't talk about it enough, you see. When it's inspired action, the whole of the universe is flowing with you into this poignant moment. Most humans do not allow themselves the feeling of standing in a moment in time, focused upon something that they care about, having cleaned up their vibration so that the energy that creates worlds is flowing through them in this moment, so that every intelligent consciousness that knows anything about what you're talking about or thinking about or engaging about is flowing with you and through you in that moment. That is co-creation at its best, you see. But you got to line up with that energy. And you got to know when you're not lined up with it, and know when you are lined up with it, and then just keep leaning toward the lined up with it until after a while it becomes really easy. You can tell the offness of something almost instantaneously.